Hello, welcome back to the channel, and this time we're going to be working on that one, the Vauxhall Zafira. Got a bit of a squeal coming from the brakes from the front driver's side, so we'll take a look. Noisy birds overhead. We'll see what's going on with it. Now, something has occurred to me in that I've had this car about 2 years now, something like that. I don't remember changing the brakes on this. So thinking about it, that's probably the most likely problem we've got here, in that it's probably just that the squealer on the brake pads is squealing away, telling me it's time to change the brakes. So I'm hoping that's going to be the case. So what I'll do is get the wheel off and we'll take a look and see what we find behind it. Well, the first bit of news is you can see that's the wear indicator, that's the screamer, that'll squeal, and you can see it's nowhere near the disc. And the pads have got quite a bit of meat left on them. So, that's not good news. I was kind of hoping that we'd see a problem there, and we can't. So I think what I'm going to do is let's take the caliper off, clean it all up, re-grease it and put it back on again, and we'll hope that it's just been that the pad's sticking and squealing a bit with the car being laid up a lot more because of the current situation. I'm going to guess that they're just sticking a little bit more than usual, and you can see they are quite caked up, so I think taking it off, giving it a good clean is a good idea, so we're going to do that. Remember to try and keep the little plastic stoppers. Let's see what size we are. Not that one. Old Faithful. Right. A little bit of force on them and we should be able to get them off. explanation to what I just did is got a screwdriver into the gap here, and I've pushed the pad very slowly against the piston. Now this pushes the piston in and it actually releases the brake even more. The idea being that it makes it easier when we come to refit, because if the piston is out and pushing, when we go to push this back on, or take it off for that matter, the brakes are pinching a little bit on the disc. Now I think when I've just done this, I think this is sticking, and I think that may well be the cause of my problems, that I'm getting sticky caliper, which means that the pads occasionally are rattling and touching the disc and causing my squeal. So hopefully this is going to solve the problem. So now that I've pushed that in, what I can do, I can get my Allen key. Now that I've loosened them off, and you can undo both of these, and that will allow us to take the caliper off and clean everything up. There doesn't look an awful lot of grease or movement in a lot of this. That won't be helping matters, so that looks like they're almost out. When they come out, they do slide a little bit on the rubber. There is a little bit of general movement on them, because they do need to slip out. That's how they all work. Actually, there is a bit of copper grease on them. And now that's moving, the only bit we need to do now is remove the metal clip. Typically, didn't record that, but these were the easiest clips I've ever taken off. Literally, just used the pliers, you can't see what I'm doing, pulled it back a little bit, and they came off the carrier. So that's really good. That doesn't happen very often. There we go. Little clip on the hose at the back. Just do that so we can take a look at what's going on. Now the carriers look pretty crusty. They don't look great, so I think a bit of cleaning up there in the top should be fine, because looking at the pads, they're pretty good considering they're 2-year-old pads. They're doing really good. In fact, if anything, I think they're doing too good. I think I might need to check when we put these back together that this is actually braking properly. I mean, the MOTs are passing no problem, so they must be braking correctly, but I thought I would use more than that. So let's get these greased up, cleaned up, and we'll give it a go. I think I might have just found a bit of good news. I was just taking a look, generally, and everything doesn't look too bad. And I got down to the bottom here, and something that I haven't actually seen on a front brake before, and that is that there's a dust cover at the back. There's a cover. Now, I've only ever seen these on rear, but if you look at that cover there, that's just a piece of metal at the back, and to me that is touching the disc. And actually you can see some grooves in the disc where it's been touching. I think what's happened is, for some reason, that has been pushed or knocked, or somehow maybe a stone's got in here or something, and it's pushing against the disc. That would cause a right squeal. So I think what I'm going to do, very carefully, screwdriver, prise that out so that it's a lot further away from the disc, and I think that is probably my squeal problem. So it's always good when you actually find something like this, when you start off going, well, I think it's going to be the brake pads, and you find that it's not. Now finding something like this, That's good. That's given me hope. Also means we could have a look at the other side to compare as well. Now we'll get on to the real controversy, or we will shortly. This stuff, copper grease. Now, I still agree with it, and I've never had problems with all of the cars over all of the years that I've used it. So I'm going to continue to use it for the sliders and things like that on brakes. Now, I know that it's not as popular as it once was, and that some people say you shouldn't use it anymore. But, like I say, I've always used it, and I've never had a problem. So I'm going to continue to use it until someone gives me a cast iron reason why not to. You can see we're just taking really the top layer off here. Nothing too bad. Being careful, obviously. Not sure if you can see it just in the picture there. The ABS cable. Definitely don't want to cause a problem with that. It's a bit of a pain. So that's a bit better now. Let's just clear some of the crud off the caliper itself. It's actually not too bad. I thought it was a lot worse. Oh, there goes the clip, never mind. I'll put the clip back on after. Do the pad carriers as well. There we go. And then okay. So when I mentioned about copper grease, this is where I tend to go with it. Don't use much, don't want overspill or that kind of thing. Go there. Go there. A little bit on here. A little bit on here. Like this. Helps if I show you. That's the piece. If I put the pad back here. The reason for this is that that needs to slide in and out on those carriers like that, so that it can move away from the disc. And there's also a little bit on those two surfaces there, and that's good for that one. So do the same, a little bit on the carrier at the rear. and the top. And that should do the job. Now actually, I mentioned before about the pins. The pins are actually already greased up and they came out pretty smoothly, so I'm going to leave those as they are because they're already greased. There's no point And there we go. I think that's pretty much job done. So let's get the wheel back on. I think that'll be fine. Now, I was actually looking at the rear dust cover carrier, and you can get them. I think they're about £15, so not very expensive. It's not bad going really, but it may be quite a tricky job because on some cars you have to take the hub off to get at the back. Of course, that means taking the hub nut off and getting at the whole thing, and that can be quite a bit of work. So I might take a look into that because it is quite rusted, and it's probably the signs of it starting to fail, the fact that it's bent and being caught like that. But I think that may be a job for a future video, working out how to do that. So I'll get the wheel back on, obviously put the wheel nuts back on, hand tight first, always make sure that the threads are going on properly, and then tightening in a diagonal pattern. Like so. And then what we do, take the jack stand out, drop the car down, and I'll tighten them up properly. But otherwise, that's all for this video, I think. Hopefully that has solved the problem. And do remember, if you've enjoyed the video, please do subscribe. Subscribe really helps me out with the videos. And also pop a like or a comment down below. Otherwise, see you in the next video.